Hi there, welcome back. I'm in my kitchen in the house, and in 2 days time I'm going to go and visit my kids to celebrate my birthday with them, and I've got to take them some biscuits. In this video I will be making, in my mom's recipe book it says Soetkoekies, which directly translates to sweet biscuits. It's got a lovely spicy flavor to it, and they're actually nice and hard, crisp biscuits. So join me while I get this ready to take with to my kids. I'm just quickly going to show you. I don't want to have Kenwood on while I'm showing you. You can just spray your baking tray with, I actually do have some here, cooking and baking spray. I prefer using silicone baking paper. You don't have to keep on greasing your papers or your pans, and you can reuse the silicone paper over and over and over again. I did replace all of my pans paper this afternoon because they have been used so many times. I think it's time for new ones. So I'll just cut it around the corners. There we go. Easy as pie, and you don't have to spray the pans every time it comes out of the oven. Now, like I mentioned, I have already prepared all of them. We're going to start off. Okay, biscuits, I posted the video about 3 days ago. We doubled up on the recipe because that recipe only used 1 pound of flour, and it's never enough, so I doubled up the recipe. This recipe on the other side starts off with 4 pounds of flour, and that's too much because it's a lot of work. You'll see when we're doing the cutting out the biscuits. So this recipe I halve. So we're not starting with 4 pounds of flour. I'm going to make it 2 pounds, and I just round it a pound to 500 grams. A kilo, 2 pounds. Right, I'm going to need that flour tomorrow. Then I need 3 pounds of brown sugar, halved would be 1.5 pounds, would be 750 grams. Now I just use light brown sugar. There you go. The other dry ingredients is a tablespoon mixed spice, so I'll be using half a tablespoon. Half a tablespoon of mixed spice. Mixed spice. This is a very lovely, delicious, yeah, these are my favorite biscuits. The white ones I made in the previous video is my son's favorite biscuits. Then I need cloves, a teaspoon in the recipe, so I need a half a teaspoon in here. You just double check, yeah, half a teaspoon of cloves. The recipe says 2 tablespoons, so I will be using 1 tablespoon. I'm thinking maybe I must do it in the other bowl. This one is going to be too full. This is actually the bowl my mom used to make these biscuits in. Now you'll see now why I say this bowl is a bit small. Salt. I just realized I didn't put salt in the other biscuits. But that's me. It's about a teaspoon of salt. I just use my hand. I feel that when I'm working in the house, I love my kitchen, whether it's here or at the back. But in the jam kitchen, I work with very precise measurements because you want to have the same thing all the time. I've made these so many times in my life. I actually know I can actually throw the stuff sometimes without even measuring. But baking cookies should be fun, not hard work. And that's what it is for me. Half a recipe. So I'll be using half a pound, not a full pound. That should be okay. A trick my mom taught me. What we should actually be doing with this is rubbing it in. But it takes a long time. So, you take the big side of the grater. Let me turn it this way and you can see. I'll take this, dunk it in the flour and grate it. Dunk it in the flour and grate it. It just goes easier that way. Now these I will not be storing in the fridge overnight because I've got to roll them out with a rolling pin tomorrow. I keep an eye on the inside, and if you see the butter is starting to layer up, I just put some of the dry ingredients through the grater and then carry on with the butter again. This is where I cheat. I will take that grated butter and just rub it through here. Now with this recipe, once you've put your wet ingredients in, it tends to be very dry and you'll be tempted to put more liquid in. Don't. You're just going to work it on your tabletop until it's a smooth dough. Because if you put too much liquid in, it's going to be very sticky, and then you've got to add flour again, and then it just distorts the whole texture of the biscuits. So you do have to have patience with this one. Okay. I think the rest we can do by hand. Okay, this looks nice. It looks like it's nice and you don't have blobs of butter. It's all incorporated into the flour. Now let's clear the decks and get the liquids ready. Okay, we're ready for the wet ingredients. Recipe says half a glass of milk. How much is a half a glass? A whiskey glass or a beer glass? So over the years I've just worked it out to around about a 3/4 cup of milk. And that's too much because I'm making half a recipe. Is the recipe a glass? No man, the recipe is a glass. I'm using half a glass. I'm not wrong, but there's a hoekje or something in here. What is that? Oh, it's out. Alright, the recipe says 4 eggs. I'm halving the recipe. I was looking at my duck eggs, normal duck eggs, and I was looking for the 2 smallest ones because the recipe I use, or the recipe says large eggs. They're 62 grams each, large eggs, and if I get this on, that gives me 125 grams, which is as close enough as 2 large eggs. So I'm putting in my eggs. Let me put them in this cup first. With my luck, if I do it this way, there's never a rotten egg, but if I put it directly into whatever I'm making, inevitably there is a rotten one. The chances of these being rotten is very slim because they're fresh. Today is Tuesday. They were picked up in the last 3 days, so they're just so nice. Okay, and then 4 eggs, we're making 2, and then the recipe says a tablespoon of bicarb. What did I do with the bicarb? Tablespoon of bicarb. So we want half a tablespoon. half a tablespoon of bicarb. Mix that all up. Get all of this out of the way. Before I start this, let me have another sip of water. I don't feel like sticking my hands in it right from the start. So let's get the worst of the wetness away. Now this is what I meant with, once you've got the liquids mixed in, you might think you need to add more, but you don't want to. It will come together in the end, you'll see. Now if you just take a handful, once you've mixed it, and you take a handful and you work it down, and you see it actually makes a nice dough, then you understand what I mean with it will come together. So let's get this out on the table and carry on getting it together. You'll notice as you work, I think if you had to rub in your butter even more into the dry ingredients, then this part will be quicker, because I can still see like chunks of butter in here. But this is part of the fun, mixing it all in. All came together very nicely. Now I do know from having done this quite a few times, if I let this stand overnight, now at the moment it's a very hard dough, but if I let it stand overnight, tomorrow it will be slightly softer. So you can either let it rest for an hour or two or overnight. Like I said earlier, I don't put this one in the fridge. I keep it right here on the kitchen counter. See you tomorrow with the baking. Hi everyone, this is the next afternoon. I got stuck this morning with other stuff. My friend just made me a cup of tea. It's time to relax. Let's start rolling out these biscuits. I covered this with cling wrap last night. I'm just going to dunk it out. Alright, now I'm going to and another piece. Now if you remember yesterday I said to you, if the dough is very dry, don't add liquid. Now I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this is very sticky. So having it rest makes the dough very sticky. I sprinkle some, I just want to, it's very cold here, so it's not going to roll easy. So I just want to work it through a bit. And then we're going to roll it out to about yay thick. Once I've got it ready, I'll actually measure it, because I just know how thick it must be. I'll measure it and then I'll tell you. I had to go and buy myself a brand new rolling pin. And we just, oh shush, I'm busy. And roll it out. Ooh. This dough is very sticky. If I had to guess, I'd say about 3 millimeters. Oh my goodness, it's sticking. it is. Yeah, that feels about right. I've got a round cutter. It's got a heart on that side, but I'm using the round side. It's about 6 centimeters in diameter. And yeah, it's about 3 millimeters thick. I had a good guess there. You just get a feel for them over time. You can roll them a bit thicker, but then they're not nice and crisp. Now what I like to do, I've got all my trays ready here, lined with baking paper. So I like to get all my trays full and only then turn on the oven. You don't have to space them very far apart because these ones don't spread out a lot. You obviously can make them shorter, smaller, but my kids grew up with them this size, and seeing that I'm baking these for the kids, they will be this size. One down. And you just repeat that until everything is done. We've got 8 trays of the spicy biscuits, the Soetkoekies, to be baked. And the oven light just went off. So I'm assuming, oh yeah, it's nice and hot. I can put the first lot in. And now this oven has got a very funny timer. It's not digital. So I'll have to set a timer on my phone. I'll see you when they come out the oven. No, I'll see you when we change the trays around. That was 6 minutes. It's sort of difficult now. First time I'm baking in this oven, so I've got to still figure out. Oh, yes, they look lovely. Lovely. I like putting the front ones at the back and the back ones at the front. Send them up one and new ones in the bottom. There you go. Now they can go a little bit more. So we'll just leave them probably about 2 minutes. So I must make it. You see, that's now with the new oven. I need to figure out, I'm going to add 2 more minutes to each turn. Okay, we've given them another 2 minutes. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, they're very nice. Lightly colored without being very dark. Alright, these can come out. Perfect. Perfecto! Biscuits coming up for the kids. That is my first lot of spicy biscuits out the oven, and they are absolutely perfect. My daughter gave me this biscuit cooling rack probably about 3 years ago for Christmas. I didn't bake biscuits that year, and then she got me this for Christmas and said, well, next year you don't have an excuse. My kitchen in the house is very small. My giant kitchen is lovely, but in here I'm very cramped and small, and so I tend to neglect stuff that I used to love doing, like baking biscuits and cakes and things, because it's just a schlep in the small kitchen. But since she's given me these cooling racks, I don't have an excuse. I've got space. Stack them high. Nice thing about using parchment paper or silicone baking paper, your pans are clean. You don't have to scrap them. I just leave it like this until I bake again. And then when these start turning brown, I'll replace them. This is so yummy. Just look at that. Crisp. It's still got a soft crisp now because it's still warm. But as soon as they're 100% cold, they're like crunchy crisp. At the end of the day, I've got quite a lot of biscuits. As you can see, there is the spicy biscuits. They are absolutely delicious. Now that they've cooled off, they've actually got a snap to them. They really get hard as they cool off. And I've already started packing for the kids. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen in the house, baking biscuits for the kids. If you liked this video, please leave me a comment and I can make you more videos about recipes from my grandma and my mom. Thank you. Bye.